there was a time when all exchange and trades happen in one place, and that place is the market. Merchants and consumers do business there, in person, face to face. And if there's any problems arise concerning that exchange, it's resolved there in real time. Then technology came and disrupted the market. First is transportation. Transportation allowed companies to do business with other people who are much further away. As a result, the market grew and became much bigger. Communication technologies allow companies to operate at a much greater efficiency. So companies scale, and they too also get much bigger. This is all good, but it also created a problem. The problem it created is that it also created a separation between the consumer market and the brands. So for as far as most of us can remember, most business, nearly all business operates under this two gears model. They have to acquire customers, and then they have to monetize them. Now, they actually focus on transactional efficiency. And then the problem is that innovation doesn't stop. There's another wave of technology that came and disrupted all this, and that's social media. Social media is actually very disruptive. There's actually a book that's been published that predicted its disruptive power before social media has become mainstream. And the main thesis of this book is that the market have changed again. The markets are now conversations. Now, if you're able to read the subtitle of that book, it actually says that's the end of business as usual. So whatever you have been doing for the last 100 years is not going to work anymore. So today, we have conversations on social media. Now, let me ask you, if you were a CEO or a very practical-minded business owner, what would you do? You probably reason that, well, if the new market are conversation and people are having conversation on social media, I just have to go acquire on social media. So even though the market landscape has completely changed, people are still doing this. They acquire and then they monetize. The problem with this is that it's neither scalable nor sustainable. And one of the reasons that this is neither scalable nor sustainable is digital acquisition is strange. You don't actually keep what you acquire. You may have a really successful marketing campaign and get 1 million fans, but you don't keep any of those fans. Mark Zuckerberg still keep all those fans for you. So how do you turn this model into a more sustainable model? So I had the pleasure to work with this man here, Jeffrey Moore. He's actually one of the most respected technology advisor in the Silicon Valley and author of many business classics, such as Crossing the Chasm. So to turn this into a sustainable model, we have to have 2 extra gear. And the first one is engagement. So engagement help you essentially sustain your monetization. Because when you engage with people, you capture their attention for a longer period of time. And when you capture their attention for a longer period of time, you can monetize them for a longer period of time. Now, when you actually monetize them, that's when you actually get a customer. That's when you actually gain a customer. Now, the second extra gear that we need is enlistment. Now, enlistment helps you scale your acquisition. So what is enlistment? Enlistment is actually a fairly new concept in the business world. It's about leveraging your customers to do work for you that normally are done by your employees. Okay? So now if you have all 4 of these gears all spinning in sync, you will create a viral loop. Now this viral loop is a positive feedback loop. It's going to feed on itself, and it will sustain forever. With the one caveat. The caveat is that you have to get all 4 of the gears spinning. If one of the gears slows down or comes to a halt, the entire loop cannot go faster than the slowest gear. So business actually have a lot of practice with acquisition and monetization. They have hundreds of years of practice. What they haven't have a lot of practice is with engagement and enlistment. So 5 years ago, many brands still don't understand what is engagement, why do they need to engage with their customer, or even how to do it. But today, 5 years later, every single brand I talk to knows they need to engage. They may not know what's the best way to engage, who to engage, what's the ROI of their engagement, but they know they need to do it. Now, enlistment right now is like engagement 5 years ago. People don't know what is it or why they need to do it. But as you can see, this is actually a very critical gear because it is the gear that actually closes this feedback loop. And it is the gear that allows brands to scale and sustain in this social world. Okay, so how do you actually get to enlistment? The good news is that if you engage with your customer, you're already doing it. You're already on the road to get there. The way to think about enlistment is to think about enlistment and engagement as two ends of a spectrum. Contrary to what most people believe, engagement is not just one activity. Engagement is actually many, many things. Everything that you do online that's relevant to a brand is pretty much an engagement to the brand. So engagement actually spans a whole spectrum of activity, right? Ranging from consume, right? Share, curate, create, and also co-create. So when you get the customer to be able to co-create with you, they are definitely enlisted. But think about this. When the customer actually starts sharing content, they actually are helping you already, right? They're helping your marketing team to spread the word of mouth about your brand and your service. So sharing can be thought of as a very light form of enlistment, right? So engagement can be thought of as just, a really light form of enlistment. And enlistment is really just the deepest form of engagement. So they are actually the two ends of a spectrum. Okay, so you may ask, hey, doctor, what does this have anything to do with digital storytelling? Well, the answer is that some of the most compelling stories are brand narratives that are co-created with your customers. And you must enlist your customer in order to co-create those stories. So why are co-created brand narratives so powerful? Let's try to understand why. So according to John Hagel, story and narratives are different. They're different in a very specific way, even though most people think they are pretty much the same thing. So for those of you who don't know, John Hagel is the author of The Power of Pull, and he's now co-chairman at the Center of the Edge at the Deloitte Consulting. So think of all the story that you heard. They are a story about the storyteller himself, or the storyteller is telling the story about someone else. The key thing is that the story is not about you. In contrary, narratives is all about you. One of the reasons the story is so powerful because we can relate to the characters in those stories. If the story is about you, they are infinitely relatable. Okay? So it's relevant and personal to you. The second difference is that story actually have a pretty well-defined structure. It has a beginning, it has a middle, a climax, and maybe an end. Narrative, on the other hand, are open-ended. How it ends is not determined. Because the story is about you, you actually decide how the story goes and how the story ends. For that reason, narrative is actually much more motivating. It gives the listener, the audience, the sense of autonomy that they could change the course of the story and the outcome of the story. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. Now, Barclays banks actually have a narrative, a brand narrative. Their narrative is that Barclays Bank is your bank and they listen to you. So Barclays basically created a community to listen to their customers' ideas on how they could improve their product and services. So customer can submit ideas, and they also could vote on each other's ideas so they know which one is more popular. That helps Barclays to determine which popular ideas to implement. And when they actually implement some of these ideas, they blog about it and then create videos about it. And that becomes part of the brand narrative. So this is one of the story that they actually write about.
you need help with Twitter?
Yes, I do.
I've been struggling with this.
I am fed up.
Oh.
Evan Davies.
Wow. Yeah! Did that work?
And you see you've got the magnifying glass there.
Look at this. Fantastic.
I thought it would be much harder than that.
Thank you.
If you need any digital help with anything, we're here for you. It's that, oh, it makes sense now. It makes you feel proud because you know you've done something little that will help change their life.
So keep in mind that this is just one of the stories that they actually implemented. Any one of the customers can submit an idea, and any one of those ideas can become a brand narrative, part of the Barclays brand narrative. So one of the things about enlisting customer is that it doesn't only help you engage deeper, it also creates much more value. So enlisting, let's take a look at another example. Barclays actually created a community centered around a crowdsourced credit card. This credit card is crowdsourced from their customers. Everything is crowdsourced, co-created with their customers. Everything from the agreement, the terms of service, all the fees and the late penalties are co-created with their customers. And through this co-creation process, Barclays is able to realize 25% increase in customer retention, 50% decrease in complaints, and an estimate of $10 million in ROI. So Barclays did this by creating a community with a shared purpose. So the final words is that brands already are very good at acquiring and monetization. They have hundreds of years of practice on that. Now, what they need to do next is basically to engage with their customer and enlist the customer. Many brands are already getting a hang of engagement. And those brands, those social savvy brands, may realize that they actually have 1 million fans or 1 million followers. They may get millions of likes. They may even get tens of millions of impressions. The next thing that the brand really needs to learn is how to get to enlistment. And that is about engaging their customer deeper and deeper such that they are willing to do the work that's normally done by your employees for you. And if you can get to enlistment, you're not only going to get 10 millions of fans, you're going to get $10 millions, or the equivalents in rands. So that's it. And this is a reference that I've written up on these 2 books. So if you're interested, you could download these 2 ebooks. Thank you very much.